Surprise! A lot of you darling homeowners out there just have no idea what you're in for when you go to put your house on the market. So the purpose of this video is to prepare you so you're not blindsided by what's to come. So let's get into it. Sellers just aren't prepared for how much it costs to sell their home. It's outrageous, the fees. And if you're a seller, you carry the burden of the costs. There are commissions. We're supposed to be using the word compensation, but commissions is a big part of selling your home. And we all know that. And I'm highly going to suggest that you find the best realtor out there to represent you in the sale of your home. I think a lot of you make the mistake of hiring a discount realtor, and then you run into a lot of problems. So if you would like us to provide some realtors for you to interview, it's free. There's no obligation. There is a link down below. I have a referral partner that is happy to provide those. But nonetheless, find the best agent you can find, and then you do not sign any contract. I mean, no contract whatsoever until you receive a net sheet on the transaction, meaning that there's an estimated closing statement, or we call it the net sheet, that details all the costs in the transaction. It includes things like property taxes or HOA document fees, escrow and title fees. There's all these miscellaneous fees. You want to know what that is up front before you sign the contract with any agent. Please promise me you're going to do that. I don't want anybody surprised by how much it costs to sell their home. A lot of you also don't know how expensive it is actually to move. You would not believe how expensive moving is. I mean, it's doubled what it was, even tripled in some cases, especially if you're moving across state lines or if you need help packing. Like, make sure you get a quote from a mover. And I promise you this before you even put your house on the market, because it's going to be surprising and you need to make sure you have enough proceeds to, get where you need to go. Make sure you check the cost of moving. Some other costs that you just don't even realize you have to consider when putting your house on the market is just a little bit of housekeeping stuff, right? So you want to have great curb appeal. So you're going to put like the mulch out, and you're going to want to replace the dead plants, and you're going to probably want to wash your windows. And if you have broken windows, you're going to want to fix the windows. And if you have icky carpet, you're going to want to replace that icky carpet. And there's some probably things in your house that you're like,
oh, I just don't need to deal with it right now.
But when you put your house on the market, it's probably a really good idea to address those things. And those things can add up. So it would be a good idea to get a general contractor or a handyman to come out to give you some ideas of how much it's going to cost. Even gardeners right now are really expensive. And that beautiful mulch we like to put out in our gardens, that's expensive too. So make sure you understand the costs of preparing and selling your home. That is always, in my opinion, the biggest shock that home sellers have. Like, whoa, this is expensive and very time consuming. Okay, let's talk about that time consuming bit. I have a lot of my clients calling me and saying,
Audra, I just don't understand why we can't just pull the trigger. I mean, why does it take so long?
And it takes so long because we need to take the photos and we need to take the videos and we need to stage your house and we have to have it looking perfect before we do any of that. So don't underestimate the time that it takes. It's super important. In fact, I think it's one of the most important part of selling your home is just making sure your house is in show quality. This is a true story. Like I get emails, I get phone calls, and you probably will hear some comments down below with people like just thanking me. And I've had people send me gifts because the information that I'm sharing with you right now has helped them be successful in the sale of their home. I do have a resource link down below. It has things like home staging checklist. We have home inspection checklists. I even have questions that you can ask your listing agent or your buyer's agent. Click the link down below. It's a free resource sheet and has helped serve thousands and thousands of people. So I'm not here to give myself a pat on the back. I'm truly here just to help you prepare and have success. It's important for me to have consumers out there take this process in their own hands. I think another thing that homeowners/sellers are surprised about is the inconvenience of putting your house on the market. First of all, you have every Tom, Dick, and Harry calling you like, hey, Susie, got your house on the market. You got random people knocking on your door, which they shouldn't do. And more importantly, you get up in the morning because you have a really good showing appointment at 3:00. So you get your air blower out, you're mopping the floors, you're yelling at the kids, you're putting lemon juice down the garbage disposal. I mean, the house is sparkling. And what ends up happening is this really, all cash buyer who just loves your house just does a drive-by. It doesn't even come into the house. Or better yet, they don't even show up. I mean, the rudeness, right? I can't tell you how often this occurs. Now, to avoid some of that hassle, I highly suggest that you do work with your agent and let them know your expectation, that you want to have all of your buyers pre-qualified, or at least vet them that they are interested in the house. I always ask, the potential buyers that want to look at some of my listings, I'm like, tell me what your non-negotiables are. And if this house, for example, doesn't have a view and it's a non-negotiable for the buyer, like, why waste our time? Like, this is going to be a no-go. Or I'll ask them to go watch my video or look at the pictures before I show the property, because I know my homeowners are trained to work their butts off to make the house look perfect. But a lot of you don't realize how much work it takes to put your house on the market. And as those days start ticking by, a lot of you are like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. And you start leaving the dishes in the sink and it gets a little dirty. So be prepared that this is a marathon. And it is difficult, and emotionally, it's hard sometimes where you get a lot of negative feedback and you're not prepared for that either. I forgot about that one. When someone's constantly like poking at your house, you get a little kind of emotional. I know when I've sold my own properties and they start dinking at me that they don't like my beautiful wallpaper or they don't like certain upgrades that I've done in my house, I get a little offended. So it's a very emotional time. Be prepared for it, because let me tell you, it can be tough. A lot of you are surprised by your buyer's home inspection report. There's like 500 million things, and the report is like 200 pages long. You're like, oh my gosh, and you get a copy of it. You're like, oh my gosh, are they going to buy my house? I'm going to have to reduce my price by $100,000. There's so many things on there. Just so you know, that's very typical. I mean, rarely do I ever get a report that doesn't have at least 100 items on it. So don't be shocked by that. But I got something that can help you out, and that is do your own home inspection before you put your house on the market. That way you can sleep well at night. You have confidence going into the transaction. And if there are any major issues, you can get ahead of it. I do that on all my properties, and it goes really smooth. All the things are, pretty much addressed ahead of time. A lot of you homeowners/sellers are surprised at how many inspections and how many people your buyer can bring in to your house when they're going to purchase it. There is a duration and a clause in your contract in every state that the buyer does have the ability to do all of their investigations within a period of time. In California, it's hard coded at 17 days. I always bump it up to 10 days because it's such a nightmare, because you're sitting there doing all these inspections, but your buyer can do unlimited inspections. They can do a window inspection. They can do a sewer line inspection. They can do multiple home inspections if they want. They can do a pool inspection. They can do a fence inspection. They can do a flooring inspection. They can do a mold inspection. They can do a geological inspection. And they can bring in 400 people in that period of time, and you as a seller have to comply. I'm not lying. Now, a lot of you that are going through this are like,
well, golly gee, when I sold my house, I just did a home inspection. I didn't know you could do all these inspections.
yes, you can, but realize it is expensive, each one of those inspections. So don't be surprised that if you have a buyer and they're very detailed, that they may bring 5, 10, 20 different vendors in, general contractors in to do some reports, investigations on your home. It's extremely inconvenient, extremely nerve-wracking. And every time I have a seller who has a buyer who does all this, they are furious at the end. And surprisingly, those are usually the buyers that are like, hey, I don't want to bother you. I just need to know what I'm buying. So if you are buying a house, I always suggest that you do as many inspections as you can where you feel comfortable with the condition. But also understand your sellers don't love having 45 people in their property in 10 days. It's a lot for them. All right, quick break. If you're getting any benefit out of this video, please smash the like button, subscribe to this channel. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. It's free, and it would just make my day. That's my goal. I just want a plaque. Help a girl out. All right, let's get back into it. So the other area where I see a lot of homeowners, will just say shocked and not prepared, is when they get that repair request. They're like, what? What are they talking about? And I always suggest, if we're doing repair requests, that you just offer them a credit, because you don't want to get into that final walkthrough at the end of the transaction. They come to the property and they're looking around. The buyers are like, yeah, this isn't corrected at the condition or the quality that I wanted it to be corrected. Or I wanted you to use a general contractor to do this repair, not handyman Jim right here. So I always suggest doing a credit, but some buyers are like, no, I don't want to credit. I don't want to move into the property until all these things are corrected. So I think this is really where you can see the seasoned agent versus a new agent. Like, they know how to negotiate this stuff. They know how to get the best deal for you. There's things that are customary that I think should be taken care of. So for example, if there are some major systems that aren't functioning and you're getting a good price for your home, and the comps that are in your neighborhood have those things functioning, then of course go fix it. I think that's reasonable. Paint the walls and do some cosmetic stuff. I think that's ridiculous. Any maintenance items, I say, no, that's on the new buyer. So you need to have someone that you can trust that can walk you through that repair request, because I promise you, you ain't gonna like it. You're gonna get really mad. And usually that repair request comes at the end of the transaction where you're already beat up. You've already had 45 inspectors through your house. You've already had several, showings that haven't showed up, and you're tired. And so when you get that repair request, you're gonna get really punchy. And this is where you need to have an agent that can help direct and take care of the issue for you. Very important. Be prepared for it. You're going to be tired and you're not going to like it. The other thing that I think a lot of homeowners/sellers aren't prepared for is that we are in a way different market than we were just a few years ago. So the time that it takes to get your house under contract is double and triple what it used to be just, I'd say, 2 years ago. Average days on market in my area right now is right around 75 days. And 2 years ago, it was right around 30 days. It's much slower. Your showings aren't as consistent. So sometimes you'll go a week without even having a showing request, right? Or you do an open house and maybe 1 or 2 people come by and it's neighbors. Okay, we're in a much slower market. I didn't say we were correcting, didn't say the housing market's like dying. But a lot of you homeowners hear those glory stories of your neighbors who got their house under contract, 2 days with 500 backup offers. So we're not in that market right now. So if you are planning to move and you have a destination you need to be at a certain time frame, I would definitely be working with an agent that will give you the average days on market, because the market is a little bit slower. And a lot of you homeowners don't realize, like, selling a house right now is not a liquid asset. It used to be back in the day, but right now it's a much slower process. Be prepared for it. I just realized I'm not laughing. I love my laugh. There it is for you. Oh my gosh, it's 11:42 p.m. on Sunday because I had back-to-back open houses and I had to put a bunch of contracts in place, and I'm like, melting right now. See, I don't look as cute as I normally do. Anyway, the reason why this has been such a long day is I had to put several offers together, and a lot of homeowners just aren't prepared for, the negotiations. So some of the sellers are like, Audra, how about we throw furniture in and that will help with the price? Or maybe, they want my furniture. Okay, newsflash. When you're selling your home, most your buyers just don't want your stuff. It's probably crappy in their eyes. And they, even if they want your stuff, they want it for cheap, or they just want to throw it in. A lot of you also have the opposite problem where you're like, oh, this is my stuff. And the buyer's like, no way. I'm not buying this house unless all the furniture is included. So it really depends on your situation. But I do want you to know that you cannot include personal items in a contract if there is a lender involved. Okay. You just can't do it. So some of this side bargaining hustle stuff has to be done outside of the contract. Okay. Don't forget that. A lot of you aren't prepared for that. You're like, well, wait a second. I don't want to, do a side contract. I want the furniture to be included in the sale. Doesn't happen anymore. It can happen if it's an all cash deal. It's an all cash deal. You can include whatever you want. But most of the time, your buyers do not want what you have and they want it removed off the property. For example, I have a house right now that has a freestanding spa, and it's a nightmare to get the thing out of there. And the buyers are like, I don't want that thing. And the sellers are like, I spent $12,000. What do you mean they don't want it? I'm not moving it. Okay. If you want to sell your house, you kind of have to flex a little bit in this market. Be prepared for it. Okay, this one always gives me the biggest headache. This is like the hardest thing in my job. It's hard. And that is that stinking contingency period, right? I've talked about it several times in this video. I hate it. And what I mean by that is the poor home sellers, right? They have to wait, it feels like an eternity before they know the buyer's all in. The buyer is required to remove all contingencies at a certain date in the contract. I like to do 10 days, but if a lender's involved, most lenders take about 17 days to get loan approval, which why it takes so long, I have no idea. No one's been able to tell me this. So anyway, you as a seller potentially could be waiting 17 days before your buyer is all in and they sign off on that contingency. A lot of you aren't prepared for that. Like, gosh, Audra, this feels like an eternity. And I have to make some commitments, either whether I'm leasing or trying to find another place to live. Like, that's just too long. And you know what? You're not wrong. And a lot of sellers aren't prepared for that. So be prepared for that. There's a very long waiting period before you know your buyer's all in. I know it's a pain. And just be prepared for it. So a lot of you out there are going to be surprised about the new compensation changes that occurred in 2024. So there's been a lot of drama in 2024, and I can tell you that it's going really smoothly so far. So I'll simplify it for you. When you are hiring a listing agent, you are only agreeing to a certain compensation to hire them. I'm not going to tell you exactly what the average is because I can get my license taken away. But I mean, you can do anything from 0% all the way up to 3%, or it could be even higher. I mean, I don't know. You got to negotiate it, okay? And what'll happen is when your buyer's agent presents an offer, more than likely in that offer, it's going to say, hey, we're going to give you $1 million for your house, and we want you to pay my buyer's representation at 2%, 2.5%, whatever they're asking. So the buyer's agent compensation is actually requested in the purchase offer. Now, the beauty of this whole thing is you as a seller can say, okay, I agree with that, or I want to, reduce it down. Really depends on the price and terms. And of course, you're going to be working with an agent to help guide you in that. But it's pretty cool. I love it because when I get, in a repair request and the buyer's agent's on my case about all this, I'm like, yeah, you just pay for it. We're paying for your compensation. You can just go take it out of your own compensation. They don't love it, but I mean, come on, like, what are you doing? Everything's negotiable right now. It's kind of refreshing. Now, to be fair, everything was negotiable in the past. However, no one really knew. Now, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Audra Lambert, and I am one of the top selling agents in Orange County, California. And if you're looking to sell your home or if you're looking to purchase homes in Orange County, California, please reach out to me. I'm for hire. Now, if you got any benefit out of this video, please smash the like button, subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers, and any assistance would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a wonderful day.